Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, the 2016 DAR TBM900 receives upgrades. Cobalt Aircraft claims massive pre-orders for their Valkyrie airplane. Jack Pelton to speak at EAA TownHall meeting. I'm Bree Cross. It's February 19th, 2016, and this is Airborne Unlimited. The model year 2016 version of DAR's TBM900 aircraft incorporates a number of enhancements that were detailed during this week's Singapore Air Show. DAR says they were introduced with Garmin's new software release for the G1000 V15 avionics suite, which is the TBM900's all-glass cockpit configuration. In a company press release, DAR likened these enhancements to bringing an e-copilot into the cockpit to reduce the pilot's workload. The enhancements include flight envelope monitoring through the electronic stability and protection and the underspeed protection systems, new oral alerts for stall, overspeed, landing gear extension, and oxygen mask use, an angle of attack sensor that displays on the primary flight display, and a two-way wireless link up to the aircraft's Garmin G1000 avionics suite from a mobile device that runs the Garmin Pilot application. Also added is the L3 lightweight data recorder from L3 Aviation Products as standard equipment. The TBM900 deliveries in 2015 bring total TBM series aircraft received by customers to 767 units. This report looks like the title should be "If It Looks Too Good to Be True, Put Some Money Into It." Startup aircraft company Cobalt announced this week that they have received over $50 million in pre-orders of the company's first model, the CO-50 Valkyrie, following the public launch on November 12th of last year. The company says that upon opening the order book, they received hundreds of inquiries to buy the plane, including 29 orders that were placed within the first 24 hours. In addition to huge pre-orders from the U.S., the company also claimed they had strong pre-order sales in top international markets, including Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, Australia, and Brazil. The company's founder, David Lowery, told the International Business Times that while the company has completed 85 to 90% of the testing required by the FAA, it has not received an airworthiness certificate. According to a Cobalt News release, the Valkyrie will cost $595,000 and is available for U.S. pre-order with a $15,000 deposit. They say the Valkyrie is targeted for availability in 2017. After the break, Jack Pelton to attend Atlanta meeting.
Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
Welcome back. If you would like to be a supporter of Airborne Unlimited, send an email to jim@aero-news.net. EAA has announced they will hold a town hall meeting on Saturday, February 27th, located on the Peach State Aerodrome south of Atlanta. EAA Chairman and CEO Jack Pelton will open the meeting. Pelton will discuss the medical reform proposal, the new requirements to fly young Eagles, events for AirVenture, and other pertinent issues facing the experimental aircraft group, vintage aircraft owners, warbird owners, and general aviation. The organizers say this is an ideal opportunity to catch up on all of the EAA news, including AirVenture plans. Food will be available at the Barnstormers Grill, and a 10% discount offered to all VAA and EAA members by the restaurant. A ride in the Curtiss Jenny will also be raffled off at the event. It's Friday, and that means that it's time for ANN CEO and Editor-in-Chief Jim Campbell to check in with his weekly Barnstorming commentary. It's been established in general aviation and some others that ATC privatization is not the way to go, but this week Jim expresses his concern when he asks the question, where's the outcry against this folly, and why can't this industry act together for its own good? Here is this week's Barnstorming.
Thanks, Bree, and hi, folks. I'm a little over the moon right now. I'm just bordering on outrage and totally confused by the way this ATC privatization thing seems to have become almost a slam dunk and appears to be on its way to being a fait accompli. Where is the industry outrage? Where is the activism? Where are the organizations pulling together, pulling all their resources, and making it very well known that the future of aviation, all of aviation, is at stake? Back in 1988, when there's a big airspace grab, AOPA, EAA, and a number of organizations motivated all of aviation to fight it, and we were successful. In 92 to 95, when Bob Hoover was getting the royal shaft from the FAA over a system that still needs to be fixed and still can victimize any one of us, well, the industry got together. It expressed outrage. It expressed its reluctance to see the future of aviation be screwed up by people who just didn't give a damn. And ultimately, we won a little victory, although not far enough. And that's one of the reasons why we're revisiting that period of time. Not to revisit a piece of history, but to invoke what made that piece of history so compelling so it can be even more compelling in the future. And ultimately, more important than anything else, since then, with very few exceptions, maybe in some cases when the FAA decided to bill EAA, Sun and Fun, and a couple other organizations for the additional services supposedly needed during air shows and things of that nature, was there any real sense of collective outrage? We do not have a participatory industry. We do not have a collective industry. There is no synergism anymore. There is no cooperation. With the exception of some recent statements by EAA that are very strong and their activity to try to motivate their leadership, it's about all I see. AOPA seems to be more interested in protecting the third-class medical provisions that are part of the AIRR than they are in fighting ATC privatization. And above and beyond that, I just don't see where AOPA's message is being heard at all, or for that matter, what the message is. At one time, I was one of the greatest proponents of AOPA you could have seen. And yeah, I've had my bad vibes with them in my low moments. I believe in the power of large organizations to do great things, but only if they're motivated to do so, if they are empowered to do so, and if they take all the assets at their disposal to utilize them properly. Folks, we're watching this industry swirl the drain. We will not recover from the kind of activity we see with ATC privatization. The airlines will control our future. The airlines will divvy out what they want us to have, which in the long run will be very little, if nothing. We need to organize. We need to act together. We need to be outraged. We need to be aggressive. And we need to speak up collectively. Get involved. Tell your associations to utilize all the resources at their disposal, and let's fight this the way it should be. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne, and Aero-TV, I'm Jim Campbell, and I'm not giving up without a fight.
After these messages, the New York Times votes against ATC privatization.
Concorde's recombinant gas RG series sealed battery technology produces a high-performance battery with the advantages of being pre-tested and fully charged at the factory. Find out more about Concorde's entire line of batteries at www.concordebattery.com. Concorde, the heart of your aircraft.
Sandia introduces the new SAI 340 Quattro TSO'd airspeed, attitude, altitude, and slip. With integral backup battery, safety never looked so good. See it now at www.sandia.aero.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. The New York Times has come out against the provision in the latest FAA Reauthorization Act to privatize the nation's air traffic control system. They cite several reasons and conclude by saying it makes no sense to remake a system that is not broken. Gulfstream Aerospace recently completed its 5,000th airborne support flight, achieving the milestone more than 13 years after launching their airborne maintenance and support service. Their field and airborne support teams used 2 dedicated aircraft to support essential customer service needs. The NTSB has revised its rules regarding reporting airborne collision and avoidance systems resolution advisories. These are electronic advisories to maneuver the aircraft to avoid a mid-air collision. The requirement to report all advisories has been reduced to specifically defined conditions. The Irish Coast Guard, in partnership with CHC Helicopter, completed more than 1,000 search and rescue missions in 2015. CHC is performing to a 10-year contract to provide Sikorsky S-92A SAR helicopters, crew and maintenance services on behalf of the Coast Guard. The issuance of student pilot certificates is changing. Effective April 1st, all applications for student pilot certificate must be vetted by the TSA prior to FAA issuance. The once issued on-the-spot certificates now may take weeks to attain. Well, that's the trip around the patch. Now let's move on to the rest of the news. Here's a new twist on the always credible email from a Nigerian prince who wants to share great wealth with you. But first, you have to send money for some reason or another. This scam has taken on a 21st century twist. It seems that Prince Abachatunde has been stuck on the International Space Station for 14 years, according to reports appearing on several websites. It's claimed he was bumped from his return flight on a Soyuz spacecraft by additional cargo, and of course you haven't heard about him because the Nigerian government is terribly embarrassed about the whole situation. Now, according to the email campaign, if you kick in a few bucks towards the $3 million the Russians want to bring him home, you will receive a healthy reward upon his return. Even though it seems completely plausible, we know you'd recognize this as a scam if it happened to make it past the spam filter on your email account. You have to give the scammers credit for creative and entertaining thinking. Well, that's our program for today. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at Aero-News.net. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily Monday through Friday with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. Please join us in a growing roster of over 100 outstanding industry associations and organizations every weekday for the best in aviation and aerospace news from the staff of the Aero-News Network, the aviation world's most comprehensive news and information resource. Have a wonderful weekend. We will see you Monday.